Welcome back everyone to episode number 67 of the Beginner to Master Speedrun. So I am approaching 200 total wins, currently at 195 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss, and 1 rating refund. So let's try and have another day of instructive chess, and I'll hop into the first game. Okay, first opponent, playing Joshie Otter, and I'll play e4. We have a Sicilian. I'm going to stick with knight c3. I go to weapon against the Sicilian, and we'll go for Grand Prix attack. Yeah, usually with d6, I do like to go for f4, knight f3, bring the bishop in. My opponent's rated just over 2200. So definitely want to make sure I'm managing my time. A6 is a useful move for black. It's one way to try and discourage bishop c4, because then b5 happens. So I'm playing a4 to just slow down the b5 expansion. And with b6, I'll just continue. Bishop c4, look to castle. Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary just yet. I mean, a6 and b6 is a little bit slow for black, and maybe will give me more time to create an attack on the king side. Now I am considering maybe a few options here. I could start with pawn d4, and then maybe just go into an open Sicilian. And there's also d3 to kind of stick with the game plan. But honestly, d4 I think is a bit more attractive here. Just because black has played these moves on the queen side, and I'm already pretty much developed, I'm castled. And generally when you have the lead in development, it makes sense to open the center. Already looking at potential sacrifices on e6. I don't think it actually works. Takes. How crazy do I want to go here? Queen d7. There's f5. It is tempting. Let me take a moment. Takes. Queen d7. f5. Because the knight would prevent black from castling. There's knight d8 in that line, though. Do I have knight d5? I might have knight d5 there. Oh, wait a minute. If takes, there's takes. Yeah, probably not worth going for. I'm also considering f5 here. But then e5. This might be playable. f5. If e5, I take, and then bishop g5. Bishop e7, take, bishop d5. It's somewhat of a deep line, but I think the trades are beneficial. I'm going to have a good grip on d5 in the very end. Yeah, I'm going to go for this. And f5, it's a move that sometimes you see in the Grand Prix attack, not only to make the rook happier, but also the bishop happier. And yeah, we're going to go into this transformation. And I think I just want to take immediately. Because this is the important square in the position, bishop d5. It's actually a very common motif in various Sicilian structures where black has a structure, d5 is potential outpost, and if we trade lights for bishops here, then I'll have a very good knight against not the best bishop. I guess black could maybe improve the bishop with bishop g5, but it's really not doing that much. And there's really no way for black to avoid this bishop trade. Queen c7 supports the bishop. I'll take. I mean, expecting my opponent to take back on knight d5. So pretty comfortable start to the game. Honestly, was not expecting to get this sort of structure after the initial opening. Like, I was more expecting an attacking middle game. But there still might be a potential to attack with a knight well centralized. If the bishop ever moves, I might have f6 ideas. There's also potential rook lift ideas like rook a3 to c3, or rook f3 to the king side. This reminds me of a game played by Fischer. I forget the name of his opponent, but it's one of my favorite Fischer games where he basically got the same exact setup with good knight versus bad bishop, and he won within 20 moves. He played a really cool idea in that game. So yeah, maybe after this game ends, I'll try and find the game to show. I'm not sure what to expect from black. Bishop g5 does make sense. So I could maybe start with this move. Like queen g4, it does abandon this pawn, but it's a bishop. And then it also supports h4. Yeah, let's start with this. e3 is covered by the knight. And there's cases where if the bishop moves back to h6, then it's very difficult for black to castle because knight e7 would be a fork. And then if the king has to stay in the center, it might just give me time to do things with rook lifting and setting up knight c7, or even f6. So feeling pretty good here. You know, I can also consider playing very positionally and just like playing c3, restrict the c file, and then maybe eventually look to double up on the d file, target the backwards d pawn. So it's nice to have a position where there are a bunch of options. Okay, so the move I'm looking at here is rook a3. I'm trying to calculate. Rook a3, queen takes c2, rook c3. I sack 2 pawns. Knight c7 would leave this rook undefended. I'm wondering if I can just double up and then go for the kill. Yeah, I'll take a moment here. Black's not threatening to castle because takes. I guess I could maybe consider takes and queen g7. Yeah, a lot of good looking options. It's just a matter of what I want to go for. Rook a3, queen c2, rook c3, queen b2, rook c1. I just don't want to give away too many pawns and then not win anything back. I could start with c3. Could also start with rook f2. A somewhat safe move. I think I just want to go for aggression though. If black takes the pawn, I'm relying more on intuition than calculation here. Just the prospect of rook c7, and eventually like taking in queen g7, because f7 is going to be a target, f6 will be a target. That does look pretty good. Maybe I should have played this more quickly. I should definitely keep calculating like on my opponent's time. Okay, black doesn't go for queen takes c2. And with rook c8, yeah, I'll start with this. The queen will, oh, if queen drops back to d7, I take on b6. So now I can't actually take, and take because queen c5 would check and win the knight. But rook f3 looks pretty nice. So both rooks have been lifted, connected on the third rank. Yeah, you don't see this too often, but I am trying to make use of the c-file. And the idea is to take, and then rook c3, and then probably invade. And meanwhile, black still can't castle because I take, g-pawn would be pinned. We might see king f8. Yeah, it's a pretty sad position for black. King d7. That might be one of the best tries. Not a move I was anticipating, but it does make sense. Can I tickle the f-pawn? Yeah, let's see how black defends the f-pawn. The king is still a target on d7. And it blocks the queen from covering f7. I guess there's rook hf8. And if I take, then the rook comes back and my queen is trapped. Although then I have takes. So that might be worth going for. Rook f8 takes, rook h8, I take. And if takes, the queen takes on f7. I don't see anything wrong with it. One moment, queen takes d5. No, then I win material. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Always have to be careful putting the queen on such a square. But it's nice that I can take with check. And what does black do here? If takes, then I'll be threatening rook to c7. And there's still constant pressure against b6, against f6, on the 7th rank. Rook c5. Opponent's fighting. And now b4 looks pretty good. Trying to induce a trade on the c-file. If the rook moves back, okay, moves back to c6. If I take on f6, takes. b5, then rook c5. It might just be worth moving the queen back. I want a pawn. Black's still pretty stuck. And if king c8, then I take, and rook c3. And rook is tied down to the pawn. Okay, that's an attempt. I'll just play b5. If rook c5, I probably just take. And then I play c4 and assert my dominance. And the knight is just so dominant here. Restricts black's pieces. I might as well play c4. And the queen has no way into my territory. I prevented black from playing c4. I might just look to play rook d3. And then go after the d-pawn. So I could take... I really don't want to take the bishop unless it's like very justified. I think I'd rather just move back. So I'm defending the pawn. And the simple plan might just be queen d2 and go after a5. Except definitely not queen d2 right now. I'll play queen e1. Attacking a5. And then if queen a7, I'm thinking eventually rook b3, b6, rook b5. And this is a pass pawn. If I plant the rook on b5, then I should eventually win the a pawn. Bishop d8 doesn't really stop that. So a very feel-good game. Just trying to finish things off cleanly. If I take... Oh, there's almost some mating ideas. Rook a5, queen c4, rook a8. Not quite seeing the force mate. I'm just going to play g3. I don't have to take immediately. I might just take with queen. And be up 2 pawns, have 2 connected pass pawns. I play f6. Completely shutting down the bishop. Okay, there's b7, there's knight e7. Rook a5 still. I'm spoiled for choice. Still looking for the cleanest way. I'm going to play this move. I'll play this move. Aligning with the pawn, but also setting up this. And then I might just be queening the pawn. We both use like most of our time this game, both under a minute. I think some of my time usage was savoring the position. But nice, instructive game overall. Hopefully a very important lesson to take away in terms of the early positional strategy. Engine does not like pawn d4, which is surprising. I would think white's doing completely fine here. Oh, black has a tactic here. Wow. I don't think I've seen this specific tactical sequence so early in the opening. This is black to move and win material. I'm very, very fortunate that my opponent didn't punish me here. I guess as black, you're not really looking for ways to win material in such a position. But black can exploit the fact that there's some issue with this diagonal, and the material winning move is takes, and then d5. Threatening the bishop, threatening bishop c5. And b6 is actually really useful in supporting c5. So I could have been in a ton of trouble early on. And going back here, yeah, d3 was the better way to go. Engine also says f5 is very playable. Okay, well, that didn't happen. And my opponent still missed the same tactic here. Takes d5. But after e5, then I was doing quite well. Takes, bishop d5. Knight came in. I do want to find the Fischer game. Fischer, what do I Google? Fischer knight d5? Sicilian? Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Olysio. Is this it? This is it. Can I bring this in? I might mess up the layout. Oh, it's not that bad. Okay. I just want to show how similar this Fischer game is to the game I just played. This is an elite chess study. I'll leave a link if you want to analyze this game on your own. But basically, we had a very similar opening structure. with this early trade on c6 and then f5. And basically, I have some arrows from this. I think I gave a lesson on this at some point way back when. But basically, Fischer did the same thing, bishop g5, using the bishop to increase control over the square by eventually trading it off for the knight, and then bishop to d5. So it's nice to see these sort of positional themes. And there's actually a really cool moment in this game. So in this position, Fischer played a really, really nice move. And I know we're kind of tangenting away from the speed run, but hopefully people find this instructive. In this position, it's white to move and find the best approach, or figure out what the plan should be going forward. And the move Fischer played, I think, demonstrates one of the reasons why Fischer was so strong and so much stronger than his competition at the time. So he played a move that very few people would even consider. I think a lot of people would maybe look to play on the king side, like pawn f6 or rook lift, maybe even g4. Knight takes e7, also maybe possible, followed by f6. But Fischer found a completely different idea in the position with the move rook to a1. And he understood the fact that in order to win, he should create another weakness in black's position. There's already the backward d pawn, the d5 square, and with rook a1, he's going for a4. And this is just an incredibly strong idea and very difficult for black to stop. And Fischer actually won the game in like 3 more moves. So in this position, Fischer's opponent played the move pawn to f6, trying to hold on, maybe stopping white from playing pawn f6. But after a4, then black's position crumbled nearly instantly. His opponent blundered here with the move rook to b8. I think it's already very difficult because if black takes, then takes, and a6 is going to eventually fall. But after rook to b8, black loses material due to knight takes e7, queen takes e7, and queen to d5, winning the rook on c6. So it is nice to be inspired by a classic game. And yeah, it took me a little bit longer to win in my game, but yeah, it was very feel-good position, super dominant. Never was at risk of losing, at least once I got my knight to d5. So anyway, let's move on and let's keep it going. We'll do another. Up to 2132. Next opponent is Alessandro Moreno, rated 2126. And okay, let's play a Sicilian. This time I have the black side of Sicilian. And I have been playing knight c6 a lot. I'm going to switch up the repertoire, go for e6. If open Sicilian, I'll go for Taimanov, which is knight c6. And if knight c3, I'll play queen to c7. White plays knight f3. Okay, this is not a standard move. And against this move, I think I'll just keep developing. There is a small trap here. If pawn e5, I could take queen a5 check. With knight c3, is this a threat? I don't think it is. Yeah, let's just develop quickly. Play bishop to b4 or bishop to c5. I think bishop b4 makes sense. Pinning the knight, threatening to win the pawn. And I mean, d5, definitely a candidate move. Not sure how great that is though. Like takes, bishop d2. I guess I could double white's pawns and then try and play positionally. Yeah, I think that's a good enough reason to go for this. Wow. It's white castling, gambiting upon. I don't think there's any traps. Like if I take, pretty sure I want to take with knight. So after takes, I take and attack the rook. I was expecting bishop d2 instead of castling for white. I guess white has a little bit of initiative, or a little bit of compensation. Open position, I'm a bit underdeveloped. But after I castle, actually, is white going to Greek gift me? Takes. Wow, I might have to be careful. White also wants to play this and stop me from castling. So this is a big question. Can I afford to castle, allowing the potential Greek gift? Because if I move back, queen h5, I don't have any way to defend h7. I would probably have to move up. So castle, bishop h7, king h7, knight g5, king g6. Queen g4. It doesn't look pleasant. It might be okay though. I have queen d4 there. And the safe move might just be bishop f6. And then bishop a3, bishop e7. I think I'm going to play it safe. I'll be curious to analyze after the game, like if black can actually go into that. But in a rapid game especially, I don't want to burn all my time and then have to fend off a scary attack. And this is nice. I do neutralize this diagonal. We might see bishop to b2. And then I might just castle and then bishop f6 neutralizing the long diagonal. Can white double bishop sack? I don't think that works. And the Greek gift is prevented because I'm controlling g5. White maybe still wants to checkmate me. Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable with this queenside development. And queen e4 is probably coming, along with rook d1. I'm thinking I start with this move to meet queen e4 with queen h5. Definitely have to have some danger levels here. Like there might be crazy ideas for white. White's playing slowly though, so that's a good sign. Maybe he was concerned about queen takes a2. So I think in this case, yeah, I'll swing the queen over. And I don't have this idea anymore, though maybe it's still possible. It was more attractive when my queen was on d8. But yeah, I should really focus on improving this bishop. I could maybe start with this. Not sure what white wants to do with this move. Could also maybe just play b6, bishop b7. I don't see anything wrong with this. And white could maybe try this, but then bishop e7. Oh, wait a minute. I think I just drew arrows into the best line for white. Yeah, I think this was actually a really bad mistake. White plays bishop e2. Yeah, I completely missed this idea of double attacking. White probably should have played bishop e4 there. But I still might be in danger. Can I start with this? Bishop c5, queen c3, and then queen h6. I think that's okay. Yeah, I'll have a lot of things to analyze after the game. I guess there's... White's trying to keep this discovery open. Queen f5. Queen c7 might be coming. Do I have e5? Super tricky. I should really move my queen. Yeah, let's play queen f5. And queen c7 does look risky for white, too. It just attacks a knight. Queen g3, okay, let's neutralize. We do see queen c7. Yeah, bishop d3 is coming soon. Can I play this? Probably. But then knight e5. White gets a lot of initiative. I think I have to go for this. I mean, everything's defended on the queen side. Knight e5 is just one attack. Oh, but then there's this move. And there's still these ideas. I might still be okay, though. I have this move. It does feel like I'm losing a little bit of control here. And the good news is, if white plays this, which looks like it traps a rook, I have bishop a6 to counterattack and try and save the rook. Rook e1. Do I have this move? I would have had knight d5 maybe too. Okay, if I can get in bishop b7, especially if we can trade queens. White's still threatening mate. I have this. Bishop c1 might be coming. Bishop c1 we could repeat. Rook e4. Yeah, really scary position. Do I have f5? f5, rook h4, and then queen g6. I think I have to go for it. I do block the bishop, which is good. At the same time, I weaken e6. e5 is now an outpost. So there's some pros and cons with this move. Still keeping g7 defended. Queen e5. Yeah, white's being pretty relentless. I have this and then this. What does white want to do? I might have time for this. I think I should probably start with this. So if takes, I take. Oh, white was maybe threatening to take there. Oh no, but then the rook would take. Okay, I have this move. Attacking the queen. Also, it's going to stop rook g3. I really want to get this move in, but then rook g3 is playable. Any tactics? And just bishop to b7? There's this move too. Start with bishop to b7. Now we're both trying to attack on the king side. There's almost queen g2 and knight f4. Doesn't really work. H4 makes sense. Can I offer the queen trade? F4 is coming. But F4, bishop C5. Yeah, let's offer the queen trade. If white trades queens, then the rook is actually trapped. I'll be controlling all these squares. First F4 looks scary, threatening this, but I'll be the first one to strike. Yeah, very tense game. Definitely not the cleanest game. Wow, knight f5. Can I just take that? I think I can. I mean, trading queens allows knight takes d4. And there's takes, I lose h7. It's not over. White's going to fight. I should have enough ways to defend. Do I have this move? I almost do. There's no time to calculate. There. I think I just have to take. Can analyze after the game. This move is coming. I have 51 seconds. It's not trivial to win this with such little time. Okay, I'm just going to simplify. Yeah, making loop for the king. I'm up a full bishop. But sometimes these endings can be tricky after this pawn. Especially if a lot of pawns come off the board. Okay, so I hold on to this. And now it's looking good because I can move the bishop back and then win this pawn. Oh, but white's gonna... If white saves the A pawn, I win the C pawn. Yeah, 40 seconds should be enough time. White's gonna play this. White's definitely trying to use their resources. F5, king, probably king G8. I'm just trying to be safe. Okay. Very happy to trade rooks. Now it's just a matter of queening a pawn. Plenty of time. Looking for efficient mates. Okay. Yeah, bishop a6 will be mate. Okay, that was a close one. Definitely a lot of moments to analyze and to show in more depth. I mean, I was generally pleased with the opening, just because it's more active for black. White lost a lot of time moving the knight. I got to play pawn d5. But maybe it's not anything so special. Engine actually prefers taking on c3 and then playing e5 and putting the pawns on dark squares. That's interesting. Way more positional, conceding the bishop pair. But yeah, it's a good version of this structure. White can't plant the knight on d5 as we saw in the previous game. But I went for this. And yeah, according to the engine, white definitely has compensation here. So the first like kind of big question was, can I castle here? And I don't think I can because of the regift. So it's good that I was having some alertness, some sense of danger. Engine says white's better here. Not completely winning, but yeah, the king's a bit stuck. Black, I think, would have to play very accurately to not be losing. So bishop f6, bishop e7, and then, yeah, around here, yeah, maybe queen a5 is not the best. Engine likes this move, which I don't fully understand. Of course, I want to take the bishop. Wow, it's saying the best move for white is bishop takes g7. Queen e5, f6, queen g3, king h8, bishop takes h7. And then white eventually forces a perpetual. Check, check, check. And the game would end in a draw. So that's the top engine line from this position. I didn't play knight b4. I played queen a5. And then going forward, yeah, so here, white had a big opportunity to play bishop e4 with a double threat of bishop takes c6, but also queen c3, hitting g7 and my knight. And my knight's pinned, so there's not much I can do. Like if bishop e7, this is my original intention, but there's takes, takes, and queen c3, and yeah, black is losing a piece. So very fortunate my opponent didn't find that. 2 games thus far, my opponent's missing tactics relatively early in the game. And I was better here, but it was still tricky. At some point I was worse. The next moment I want to look at is here. No. Is it here? It was a little bit later, whether I can sack the queen on g2. So takes, takes, takes. And yeah, I slowed down here. I took about 20 seconds to play queen takes d4. I was calculating queen takes g2, which is almost forced mate. Because after check, it's actually double check. If king g1, this is mate. Really nice mating pattern. But there's king g3, and white's surviving here. I would have another double check to win the queen, but yeah, black's only a little bit better. Like king g4, I'm not mating, and I'm not even winning a piece. Although I do have bishop g2 in the very end, so I guess that's why black is still for choice. But I played the simpler line to take, and then, yeah, my opponent probably should have taken on h7. But after this, I had knight f4, things simplified, and I had enough time to convert. So, yeah, some fun games so far, up to 2140. Let's do one more to wrap up the episode. Okay, next game, playing a deb, a chess. I'll play e4. This time we have a Caro Kann, playing the 2 knights attack. Yeah, knight f6, I like to play queen e2. There is a beginner trap of knight d7, knight d6. I don't think we'll see that in this game. With bishop f5, I'll go ahead and take. This is one of the points of queen e2, is e-pawn can't take, g-pawn had to take. And I think the general setup is a combination of d3, knight h4, and g3, bishop g2. I'll start with d3, just preventing any bishop takes c2 shenanigans. And this setup should be really solid for white. I could start with this. Force the bishop back. Now it looks like this is a threat. I'm not sure if it was a threat, because if takes, there's queen a5 to take back. But in this case, I do get tempo on the bishop. Look to play bishop g2. And I'll probably end up castling kingside. Even though the g file is half open for black, there's not much black can do, especially with the structure. Also considering c3, d4. I'll start with castling. I guess black has a choice which way to castle or to keep the king in the center. And there's not a hugely attractive option for black, because castling kingside could walk into trouble. Queen b6, okay, maybe a sign that castling queenside is coming. I mean, with this move, I'm even more inclined to play this. I don't think knight e5 is a huge concern. And yeah, it's just really hard for black to stop pawn d4. I initially played pawn d3 to undermine the bishop, but I think it makes sense just to expand, try and restrict this bishop and the knight. And with castling queenside, it could be a sharp game. I'll probably want to attack eventually, maybe a pawn storm, maybe get the bishop in. Okay, f5 might be coming. I mean, a4 looks pretty logical, because a5 can come with tempo, and then if I get an a6, that could be really nice. And if black plays a5, then it's just weakening the queen side. Black plays e5. Interesting. So I have choices here. I could take d5, bishop e3. There's a lot of candidate moves. I think I want to start looking at a5. One of the most forcing moves. Queen c7. And one thing is, I don't know if I want to chase the queen away from b6, because bishop e3 will also pressure the queen. I guess there is a line, like bishop e3 takes bishop c5, but then, okay, I save a5 for a later moment. If ever queen b5, I take, probably a good structure for white. Am I concerned about e4? e4, d5, bishop c5. No, e4 I can take and win the pawn. Okay, I'll start with this move. Okay, queen c7 makes sense. And this might be coming. And bishop h3 comes to mind. Also, considering takes and takes. Yeah, the more I'm looking at bishop h3, the more I'm liking it. It seems like f5 is black's only source of active play. Now if f5, I just take. I'm also pinning the knight. Yeah, king b8. Now I think I'll just keep pushing the pawn. And it's definitely still a fight. But it's nice having the two minor pieces control the square. We might see rook to e8. And I probably want to move my queen somewhere. Knight f8. Okay, so if I take, I guess that only helps black open the bishop. I could throw in a6. There's also this idea, pawn f4, to try and trap the bishop. A6, b6. That also looks pretty good. Could throw in knight f5 eventually. All right, let's start with a6. I'm just thinking long term, the light squares could be quite nice for white. And is f4 worth playing? f4 takes. Yeah, what does black do? There's takes bishop d6. I'm gonna go for it. Because f5 is a big issue for black if the f-pawn stays here. And if the f-pawn doesn't stay here, then, like for example, takes, then the f-file opens. And black is left with the weak double pawns. And what I might end up doing is just transfer the bishop back to g2, because c6 has been softened. Like bishop g2, queen f3. And black goes for bishop d6. Okay, so takes. I think it just makes sense to take. And then queen f3. Looks like a really nice square for the queen. Not only threatening to win f6, but also aligning with the c-pawn. Black is still defending. Can I go for like b4, b5? I could also take. Just simplify? Yeah, maybe it's time to cash in. Takes. As much as it would be nice to keep the light square bishop, a pawn is a pawn, especially in the endgame. And we are reaching the endgame. And this is another pawn. Although I have to be careful of rook e2. If I play this, there's this. Okay, I think I'll start with this. Oh, but then bishop d3. But then I take. Okay, that looks fine. So I do allow bishop d3. Okay, with this I have this. And black's getting some counterplay. And if rook e7, okay, that's what I like to see. Yeah, just more simplification. Still attacking the pawn. I might just go into the endgame. Although if takes, I do allow this. So maybe I can take and then king e3. And we'll have a... Yeah, let's just simplify completely. We'll have a rook ending. Up a pawn. I really haven't had too many like close endgames this speed run. Probably have had a handful. But yeah, hopefully this will be instructive. I'm up a pawn. I have a bit more active king and rook. Black's definitely going to fight. I think it makes sense to push. Probably not. I have to make sure I'm not losing the pawn. Play this first. Wait, let's slow down a little bit. Oh, this might not be so easy. Okay, I'll play this. I think I have to wait for rook e7 and then I push. And then rook e1 and then I play rook f7. Okay, so some transformation. I take here first, probably. A little bit indecisive. This should be good enough. Rook d2, like b4. King will walk up. I do lose h2. I'm really just focused on queening the queenside pawns. Can take here. Okay, opponent resigns. Nice game overall. I thought that maybe I'd win with an attack on the queen side, but I really just converted my advantage into material advantage and then won in the endgame. Yeah, this line is tricky, queen e2. And I do have a somewhat older video going through all the tricks and traps of the two knights attack against the Caro Kann. This is a slightly higher level line. And as I mentioned, okay, knight d7, there's a smothered mate. The main line here is knight takes e4, queen takes e4, queen d5. After which I would play queen f4, and there's some theory. The move that my opponent played, bishop f5, I think just offers white a nice positional game. As we saw, black had the double pawns. I got a nice setup. And yeah, the engine says white's definitely for choice. Yeah, maybe I had some improvements around here. Engine is saying it's spitting out a move that I did not consider at all, pawn to b4, which does make sense. Just create more ideas for breaking down the queen side, especially with a bishop on g2. Bishop e3 seemed natural, and yeah, f4 is a nice find. Engine's top move. Not a move that's easy to consider, but I think once you see it, it makes a ton of sense to try and trap the bishop, open f-file, and after all the trades, yeah, maintain the extra pawn. Maybe there is some more accurate conversion, but yeah, as long as I didn't blunder with d5, and everything was under control for white. And yeah, another nice instructive game. So I think I'll wrap it up there, up to 21:48. Hope you guys enjoyed the games today. If you have questions, do leave them below and stay tuned for more. I'll see you guys soon.